Kick that off now. All right, so we're doing a bit of a hybrid meeting today. So we've got some participants here at the club and you guys joining us online. So thank you for checking in online. Just bear with me. I haven't used Zoom too much myself, but it looks like, can I just get a thumbs up if you can both hear me and see the introduction to parks screen? All good. Thanks, Daryl. Cool. We'll kick off. So today we're going to be talking about the parks program, specifically an introduction to the Australian parks program. There are some differences worth noting. So just quickly, my name is Matt. Call sign is Victor Kilo 4 Mike Juliet Charlie, located here on the Gold Coast. I'm a foundation operator, relatively new, licensed in February 2020. So just before COVID came to town, I got licensed here and have been getting involved in parks when I can in my free time since then. So I'll just preface this presentation with I am a relatively new operator and also a parks participant. So I'm no way any authority. Sorry, I just realized you haven't seen that screen. 1 second, guys. All right, that should be good. So as I said, yeah, foundation operator, newly licensed. So I'll just preface that with my limited experience there. So, sorry, I can only see one thing at a time here. Okay. We'll do it this way. So what is parks? VKFF, so the Australian program, is the Australian chapter of the worldwide Flora and Fauna Amateur Radio, abbreviated WWFF. It commenced here in Australia in March of 2013. The program is an international amateur radio program, the purpose of which is to draw attention to the importance of protecting nature, flora and fauna, and to encourage the development of radio skills, especially in portable operations. It encourages radio operators to operate portable from designated parks and or protected nature areas around the world, and in turn generate attention for these areas whilst providing the amateur radio community an interesting and rewarding activity. Over to the right there, you'll see the official WWFF logo, and "Make Nature Your Shack" is their slogan. An important thing to note is WWFF is different to POTA, or Parks on the Air. There is POTA is more of a US-based system. I don't know much about it, but it's definitely different to WWFF. A lot of sometimes, I guess there can be some confusion, or people don't realize that it's a different system, but they might just say POTA, similar to SOTA or Summits on the Air, but it is a different system. Just be mindful of that. So VKFF is a national chapter of the worldwide WWFF program, which is different to POTA. So who runs it? So over in South Australia, Paul Simmons, VK5 PAS. He is the national coordinator of VKFF. Does an excellent job in promoting the program, and has a great website with all sorts of resources, which we'll look into later. Each state or territory has its own representative. Activators, who are the guys that go out to the parks, they send their logs to the state or territory representative of the park that you're activating resides in. So in VK4 Queensland, Mark, VK4 SMA, he's the representative, and New South Wales, Gerard, VK2IO. He's the New South Wales representative. Refer to that website for all the other states or territories, has their contact details if you need to send logs to them. So as far as the different types of parks you can go to, there's a graph I got from Paul's website. You can see there's a whole bunch of national parks, conservation reserves, wilderness areas, state parks, coastal parks, marine parks, etc. The program has significantly expanded since its inception in 2013. I think originally it might have just been national parks, and then that has been expanded out to more and more protected areas, which is great. So on the www.ffaustralia.com website, which is the main website that Paul runs for this program, there's a list of qualifying parks for each state or territory. Just as an example, in Queensland, it's all, I think it's alphabetical. We'll have the name of a park and then the individual and unique reference number of that park, which we use for logging. It's a key requirement. So worldwide, there's a different prefix and a unique number for each individual park. So why do it? Again, this is personal preference or personal experiences. For me, it's fun. I like the adventure of it, from the planning and preparations. Go, where can I go to a new place, get all the gear together and make a bit of a weekend or even a day trip out of it. Be active. I stole that from the box of my 705. It's good to, you know, stay physically healthy and playing radio at the same time. It's a win-win. For me, I originate in WA, Southwest WA. So for me, it's a good opportunity to find new areas, discover new places. Usually it's within Queensland or Northern New South Wales. You generally get to operate in pretty low noise levels as well. Where my location is in town, it's pretty high. So it's always nice to get out there when the S meter is pretty low down. For me, it combines a lot of other hobbies, such as I go camping or hiking. So I usually try to integrate that with doing a parks activation. I'll look up on that qualifying parks website, see if it's available, and note down all the details and combine that with a hike or a camp. If your idea of camping is staying in a 3-star hotel, you can still combine it with like a holiday. So if you go to a holiday, generally there'll be a national park nearby or conservation reserve, so you can pack up your kit and join in the fun. You don't have to go to the wilderness. It's a good test for yourself and your equipment. Just operating and just navigating to the area, having all your kit ready to go and seeing what kind of performance it can do. It has a good overlap for field day, John Moyle field day, or any emergency communications activities that you may be involved in. And you do get to earn various awards, which you can see there on screen, both as an activator and a hunter, which we'll get to the differences shortly. Safety first. So if you are activating a park, it is important to consider your safety. We're all pretty responsible operators, but it's worth spelling it out. I always tell somebody that where you are going and when you're expected back at minimum. Even better is you can leave a trip intentions form. A lot of the state police departments offer these forms you can find on the internet. It doesn't have to be anything formal. It's just the more information, the better, particularly if it's a multi-day trip or you're going out of cellular coverage, which is pretty common. Ensure you've got a basic first aid kit and any medications that you might need with you. In that first aid kit, I highly recommend having a snake bite bandage, which I'll show you. One in here. You may have seen them before, but If not, there are specific snake bite bandages that you can get. That is quite handy. You've got these printed rectangles on them, and when you expand them out to the appropriate tension for snakes, they turn into squares. So it's good for if you're not a trained medical professional, you have a visual idea of you're doing it should it happen. Hopefully it doesn't get bitten by a snake, but you're wrapping it with the appropriate tension. So they're only $10, so well worth adding to your kit if you haven't already got one. Always try to leave the house with a charged mobile and have a power bank. They're very handy, and I got this one from Aldi. It's very compact. There's probably better ones out there, but it does the job. It's like 10,000 milliamps hours. Quite slim, quite lightweight, just for topping up your phone. Often, if you know you're going into an area that has no coverage, or you're traveling through an area that has poor or no coverage, I often turn my phone off into airplane mode. So if I need to take a photo of something cool, I can quickly use that, but it conserves the battery power a lot by not constantly looking for a carrier network. Obviously, make sure you've got the USB cables for those devices, so you can top it up, whether it's topping it up through your car, or if you've got a external battery source to keep it charged. We'll get to it later on, but I use my phone for the logging of all the contacts, which obviously takes power. Make sure you dress appropriately for the conditions and the season. So jackets, beanies, gloves, hats. It is important to, if you're out there for a while, to look after yourself. Make sure you've got adequate water supply. If you're vehicle based, you're good to go. If you're on foot, you can get water filtration devices if you run out of water, which you hopefully shouldn't, but you can get water filters that you can put into a unclean source of water, filter all out the bad stuff, and drink it. Yeah, but I should have mentioned earlier, my style of operating at the moment is more portable, so from a backpack, which I'll show later, rather than a vehicle. So my stuff is pretty, I'm restricted in carrying capabilities, so I kind of keep that in my backpack just in case. Snacks are good. Often I'll rush out. I've got a young family, so my time is usually short, so I won't worry about making a full-on lunch if it's just a day trip, but having snacks are good just to keep your levels up. So something light, calorific, like some nuts or biltong jerky, or those sesame bars are good. Often if you do get hungry, you start fading and you can start making mistakes, which we don't want to avoid. And stay found, so know where you are at all times. Have a map, GPS, compass, just so you find your bearings, stay found basically. So how does it all work? Primarily, there are two different roles within the program. So there's the activators. They're the operators that are heading out portable to the designated VKFF reference areas, national park, forest, state forest, etc. And there's hunters, and they're the operators that make contact with those activators. Activators can also hunt other activators in other parks, and that's called a park-to-park contact. The program operates on a accrual of reference areas. It's not a points-based system. So you don't want, with SOTA, for example, or summits on the air, each summit has a point level, like it could be a 1-pointer, it could be a 10-pointer for the more difficult ones to get to. With parks, it's quite good where you just want to go to as many different places as possible, or work as many different places as possible. So that's quite good. So parksandpeaks.org, that is the key website for the whole system to work. It's an Australian website, and it's used for alerting and spotting within Australia. It's free to register for an account. and it's used for the parks system, Summits on the Air, VK Shires, and a few other programs, just for telling people that are involved in these programs that you are intending to go out and activate it. And when people are out there, you send a spot out to this website, which alerts people participating that, yep, I'm out at this park right now on this frequency. And we'll get to that as well a bit later on in the piece. 7.144 is the go-to frequency for parks. From my experience, the majority of activators do their bulk of the work on 40 meters, which is good for me as a foundation operator. That's the main one that I operate on. The antenna that I use is a link dipole resonant on 40, and 7.144 is the starting frequency. Like anything in amateur radio, it's nothing set in concrete. There's guides, so it can be plus or minus. It doesn't have to be on that one, but you'll find the majority of the spots that get sent out, usually you'll see 7.14 for if it's not being used. Obviously, there'll be cases where they can be quite busy over the weekends, multiple activators going out at the same time. So you could be, 7.150 plus or minus. All right, so for hunters, so if you're not able to get out to a park, or you just want to have a listen and get involved at home in the shack, that's awesome. That's what I did to start with. If you want to start with just going to that Parks and Peaks website, there's an alerts section, and that's where activators put up their intentions to activate. So, yep, I want to go to the Nerang National Park on Saturday, approximately 11 o'clock on this frequency, 7.144. So you can see what the schedule is like basically for the coming weekend or the day. It is pretty active. You'll find most days there's action out there. You can then monitor for spots. So spots are more live alert that either the activator puts out saying, yep, I'm at the park now, I'm calling CQ and I'm ready to take calls, or it can be somebody that has heard them calling CQ and they've spotted that activator on their behalf, which is excellent. We'll go through to that later as well. If you do make a contact, it is worth spotting them on this system to help the activator. Often they'll be in an area that has no cellular coverage, so you can't use your phone with data to send that alert out. So they might ask you, oh, can you please spot me? And then you can either do that on your mobile device if you've got it set up, or a computer just on the Parks and Peaks website. And then that helps the activator, and it also helps the other hunters or participants of the program saying, oh, yep, this guy, he's in Southeast Queensland. If he can hear it, I will, so I'll tune in. So it's beneficial for everybody involved in the program. It's a simple QSO exchange. Just call signs, the park reference number they'll give you, and an actual signal report. It's not like a lot of these competitions or field days where it's 5 nines all round. Definitely, it's live conditions, so the actual signal reports are given and encouraged. The good thing with hunters, you don't need to submit any logs to participate or get an award. It's up to the activator to do that part. You do need to register on the worldwide website, which is www.ff.co/log search. That's the global system, the database that ingests all of the logs. But for hunters, you don't have to worry about that. That's up to the activators to do when they come home, which we'll get through in the next slide. From that website, you can also request your certificates when you reach a certain amount of parks that you've worked. It starts with 10. You get to get the bronze hunter award, and then it's silver, gold, diamond, 10, 20, 30, 40. So it doesn't take long to qualify to getting an award. So at a minimum, if you're going to be an active participant as a hunter, register for the Parks and Peaks website and also the www.ff.co website, so you can log in and start utilizing them under your call sign. All right, so if you're going to be an activator, you're the ones out in the national parks and being amongst it. So what you want to do beforehand is find a park that you want to activate. Make sure it's open, particularly after any weather events or fires. You don't want to travel all this way out into the bush only to find that it's closed. So do your research ahead of time and make sure that there's no issues getting to the park. Once you've sorted that out, you put up an alert on this Parks and Peaks website saying, yep, I'm going to be activating this park on this date and time, and a starting frequency. Again, it's nothing set in stone. It'll be plus or minus. It might be in use, might have some interference. It's just a place to put your intention to activate up, so the hunters can go, oh, yep, I'm going to list out for this guy. That's an interesting park I haven't accessed before. I'll listen out for him. Also notify others outside of Parks and Peaks. There's a bit of a WhatsApp group or just other operators in your local area. Just say, look, I'm going to be out on this frequency. Appreciate it if you can listen out for me. There is a WWFF Facebook group as well for Australia. If you use Facebook, you don't have to, but it's there. Often Paul and other participants will put an alert up if they hear some activity on Facebook, just so, yeah, the more people that know about it, the better for everyone. So when you get there, you set up your station and you can set out a spot. Again, this is from your mobile phone. There's an app, various apps available to do this function. It does require a cellular internet connection. So that's important to note. Sometimes you might have the intention of going out there, sending a spot, but you don't have signal available. There is an option to use SMS to a particular number, which forwards it onto the internet. I haven't used that personally. Usually I find if, you know, that if you've got enough signal for a phone call, usually you can get in the right spot for data. So that's where the option of, if there's no cellular coverage, but you do make a contact, you can request that the person that you spoke to, or the hunter, that they spot you on your behalf, just to get it out onto the internet and notify more and more people. So basically you get there, you've got a frequency available, and then you just start calling CQ and record all your contacts. So for me, I just call CQ Parks, CQ Parks, CQ Parks. This is Victor Kilo 4 Mike Juliet Charlie, calling CQ and listening for any stations, any variations, whatever works for you. Parks tends to roll off the tongue easier than WWFF. And yeah, you'll start getting callers if everything's conditions are all right, whether it's just local contacts or far. There's a lot of participants in the program, even within Australia. You know, the Australian amateur community is relatively small in the scheme of things, but with parks, there's a lot of activity, and people get involved and support each other. You do need to, again, as a hunter, just like hunters, sorry, you need to register for an account at the global system for log search, so you can monitor your progress and request your certificates once you reach those certain thresholds. When you get home, you send your logs that you've obtained from your activation to the state or territory representative of the park that you activated. So if I went down to northern New South Wales to do a park, I send the logs to Gerard VK2IO, and the team's contact details are on Paul's website. And they log it on your behalf up into that log search system. Give it a few days. It's all voluntary. They're usually pretty good though. You'll see once it's been processed, they'll make sure that the logs are all valid. When I first started, I made a few mistakes, missed things out, but they very understanding and help you out, and upload it to the site on your behalf. once it's uploaded, you've reached the number of contacts for the park, you can request a certificate through that system as well. So for the Australian parks system, you only need 10 contacts to activate the park as an activator. So for all VKFF activations, a minimum of 10 QSOs are required for the activation to be valid as an activator. Contacts with the same individual using a club call sign, a vanity call sign, or a special event call sign are allowed and will be counted towards the 10. Often there's a few operators out there that have multiple call signs in their name. So you just do the call sign exchange, the signal report for each of their call signs. So that definitely helps if it's a quiet day or if the conditions are no good, you'll get somebody with three call signs, which is helps you get your numbers up. A contact on with the same call sign on a different band or a different mode does count as a separate QSO. A contact with the same call sign on a different date also counts as a separate QSO. And contact with a portable location, sorry, a contact with a station from a portable location who then goes mobile also counts. And an important thing here is the 10 QSOs can be accrued over multiple activations. They do not have to be attained during the one activation. So you can go out for one national park. I did this exact thing in Narang. I went out, it was a hard day, only got 5 contacts. And then I went the next week and got another 6. So yeah, tough conditions, but I managed to get enough, meet the 10 QSOs to qualify that park. So it's really good. You can go back and have another crack if you don't meet those numbers. Contacts with other activators within the same reference area, like in the same national park, because they are quite big, they are not valid. Has to be outside of the national park. A few extra bits of information. So with parks, well, this is also a benefit of the system compared to, say, summits on the air, which is more portable, on foot operating. You can operate from your vehicle, so mobile operation is accepted, though operating external to the vehicle is encouraged. Activations can be made from dwellings or other buildings located within the park boundaries. So often there might be a cabin or a shack, shelter, if you might need to seek refuge in if the weather comes in. That's no worries. So long as if you're in the park, you're good to go. Contacts via repeaters, etc. Echolink do not count. Since I've started the parks program, all the activity has been on HF. Usually you're not necessarily on a higher summit like Summits on the Air to kind of go for those VHF, UHF contacts. The majority of my work is on HF, 40 meters. But you can still use, if you happen to be in a park that has some high points, you can certainly still use other bands. No worries at all. Just not repeaters or Echolink, etc. There's no restriction on the type of power source that can be used during an activation. Just a note there that there might be restrictions in place at the national park if you happen to want to use a generator. So yeah, if you've got a car set up with HF or external battery system, you're good to go. You can crank the power up to 100 watts if you want to and go nuts. As I said, I'm a foundation operator, so I'm limited to 10 watts. And as I said, my style is more backpack based because I go out on foot and do a bit of SOTA and just camping and hiking. So a bit of a sucker for punishment, being restricted to power and 10 watts and hauling my stuff. But there's a lot of guys that go out there with a nice 4-wheel drive setups or a car setup that have an awning and good power supply available, and yeah, they really do well get a heap of contacts. So the valid contacts will include an exchange between the activator and the hunter of their call signs, the signal report, and the VKFF reference number, which the park activator will know and tell the hunter. If you happen to get a contact with somebody that answers your call CQ and they don't know anything about the program, you're certainly encouraged to explain what you're doing. Refer them to the website for more information. And yeah, as before, POTA, or Parks on the Air, is different to the Australian VKFF and the worldwide flora and fauna systems. The URL there, that's Paul's website, that's the official one, www.ffaustralia.com, has all those rules. That was just an extract of some of the important ones that I found. See his website, and there's a PDF with all of the specific details there. Definitely worth a look. So applications that help for activating or for logging. I personally use my phone most of the time. If everything's working, I still do have a paper and pencil available. I use Android on my phone at the moment, and a very popular app is called VK Portalog. It is Android only. It was developed by Peter, VK3ZPF. One thing to note is this app is not currently available on the App Store or the Play Store. You do have to register for it via this groups.io site. Once you're into that, it's all free registration. It's a free app. You can find the app to download in the file section there. So that's just one thing, you can't find it in the App Store. Once you get the app installed, you put in your Parks and Peaks details to the app within the settings, and that will allow you to send spots up to the system, receive spots, etc., etc. It's used for viewing and submitting spots, doing your logging, and you can see the screen to the right there. All the time is Zulu time. The top right there, you can see the you can set a reference point. So my reference point was Brisbane. So if you're out in a park and you're making contact with somebody, you can go, oh yeah, I'm in so-and-so National Park, which is 65 k's southeast of Brisbane, just so they give it a bit of a indication of your whereabouts if they're not familiar with the park, because there is so many. You put in the call sign of the user that's you're making contact with. It's got those handy down the center of the screen, the VK1 through the VK8 soft keys, where you can add the prefix nice and quickly. If they're portable, you can quickly press /P to add portable. Put in your signal report there under sent and received, how you're received and how they're received, and then their first name. You can put in the frequency is required. And if you scroll down in that section, there's some further details. If they were out activating a park as well, or a summit, there's a field below there where you can put in their reference details for the log. Once you click save, in that white space, you'll see the contact recorded, and then it clears it out, ready for the next one. The good thing about the app, it builds up a names database. So once you put in a call sign, say if I put in Jamie's VK4XD, it'll come up with Jamie the next time we make contact. So it's quite good. You build up a rapport with other activators out there. So VK2IO go, oh, g'day, Gerard. So it's all first name basis pretty quickly. So that's a really good feature. You can also filter the spots that you receive to the phone based on the band and modes that you're interested in. As I said before, I'm pretty much exclusively use 40 meters SSB. So I can't get on to 20 meters. I don't have an antenna for 80 meters. So I just turn those off. So I only see things that I can participate in and work. So that's a really good feature to just cut down on the notifications. So if you are licensed, you can get on 20 meters, or if you have an antenna for 80 meters, things like that, you can really customize it to your kit and capabilities. Check out his website there, VK3PF, VK3ZPF.com to download the application. There's some screenshots of the app. On the left-hand column, there's the spots screen. So they're the logs of people out there in the park currently. You can see the name of the park, so WWFF, VKFF, and the 4-digit number, the name of the park, who's out there and what frequency they're on. And it also allows, there's just a generic comments field, so you can customize that to suit. So you can see there on the first one on the left hand side in orange, VK2HGB. He said, yep, Gerald's out there. He's 5'8" into Ipswich. So it does allow that customization. You've got a bit of text available to send a message. Below that one is saying, yep, he needs a few more, please call. Needs hunters. So it's really good to add a little bit of a custom message if required. Over to the middle one, that's an example of my last outing down at Mebane National Park in New South Wales. Got 18 contacts, so you can see there in the list the call signs that called up. The frequency was the 7144, and the signal exchanges there and their names. You can see there was one with Compton. He was out in the park as well, so he was in VKFF 0375. Quite a handy little feature is in the app as well is the location information. It uses the GPS within your phone, and if you've got signal, that is, it'll detect what national park you're in, or a summit if your summit's on the air. And also what shire you're in. So it supports different programs, which is quite good. But just note that you do need cellular connectivity for that information to be pulled down. So before you leave, make sure you know your park's reference number, speaking from experience. And iOS, so if you run an Apple device, there is a equivalent application called Parks and Peaks. It's developed by Sue, VK5AYL. It is available in the Apple App Store. And again, it'll require you to log into the Parks and Peaks website with your credentials, so you can send those spots up and receive them. I personally haven't used it, but it appears to have very good reviews. So yeah, and both Android and iOS are covered there. Looking at the screenshots, very similar type of thing. You put in the call sign, the site, and all the other details. A good feature is if you see a spot come through on this Portalog, you can just tap it and it will pre-fill a lot of the information for you. So if you've worked them before, it'll have their name, it'll put in the park name, etc., etc. So it's quite good. It's been developed over a number of years and refined from operators that actually use it. So yeah, hopefully you can check that out. All right, so equipment, you don't need much, and I definitely encourage you to, if you're just starting out or not sure if you'll like it, just to use what you have. When I started, I used a IC718, the basic base station radio that I was gifted as a new operator, and I stole some SLA batteries from my kids' toy trucks just to get it on the air out portable. Not a huge capacity, but it was enough to get a taste for it and get me on the air in the field. So it wasn't tidy, but it did the job. There's no right or wrong setup, just use what works for you. So if you're more portable, you get a backpack and a lightweight kit, that's good. If you're more car-based, you've got an existing setup, you can use that. That's no worries at all. I do definitely recommend making a list of things what you might need before I head out. Once you go out and come back, bit of an after action report. Just review that. What did I use? What didn't I use? And then over time, you'll refine your list of things that you do take out, and things that if you keep taking it out, but never seem to use it, you can ditch it with your once you're not actually going to use it, just taking up space or weight in my case. Yeah, so what could be better? As I said, I went from a base station radio. I now use a IC705. I went from a homebrew 40 meter dipole with some like 20 meters of RG58 to a lightweight dipole made by Soda Beams, which I'll get out shortly. So just refine it over time, just like anything. You, as you have more experience, you change equipment up, and you find what works for you. Definitely encourage you to keep a pencil and a waterproof notebook in your kit. Even if you log electronics, they fail at the worst times. Batteries die. So I've just got a small waterproof notebook, and pencils I prefer over pens because they're more reliable. Headphones, I've added them to my kit. I just have a small little plastic Tupperware container that I have in my pouch here, just with bits and pieces of antenna adapters and things like that stored away safely. I usually have these headphones in there that I can plug into the radio. Often if you're trying to work a distant or fade, like a station that's just hard to hear, if you can make the contact out with some headphones. It's also good if you're in an area that has other users of the park enjoying it. You don't want a loud radio blaring with static and whatnot, so it's all good to show some respect to other users of the park, so keep them in there. If you're not using a mast, a throw line and a weight of a suitable nature. I have a lot of the time, it depends on the park and the area. I either I use an inverted V dipole. Either if there's a branch there, I'll hoist it into a branch. If there's nothing available, if I want to use a mast, I'll use a mast. I started off well, actually it hasn't changed. I used paracord, which is just really common utility cord used in kind of camping and stuff. It's quite lightweight and very strong, but I find it does catch on bark, etc., etc. So it's not the best type of line. It will get caught on limbs and stuff like that. So I'd probably in the future, again going to that refining thing, is try to get some arborist cord, which is like a fine wax coating, so it doesn't get caught on branches and things like that. And probably an arborist throw weight. At the moment, I just find a stick or a rock, and usually it takes a couple of attempts to get over the branch. It probably doesn't look all that pretty or professional, but it does the job eventually. You can see in that picture I do have a mast there now that I purchased. That's a mast from Soda Beams. Soda Beams is based in the UK. They put a lot of products out that are more lightweight for portable operations off a backpack. So that's this one here. It's just about 60 centimeters long, so it can fit in a briefcase. That's why I wanted it. If I go into state on a plane, I can fit it in there, and it extends out to 7 meters, which for the antenna that I use is about, and the length of feed line I have, that works well. It's a good combination. So just yeah, all the parts come out there. It is it's about 1 kilo, this particular one. There are lighter weight options that they have. This is a heavy duty model, so I just wanted something a bit more rigid. It doesn't, when it's fully extended, it doesn't flex or anything like that. So I just decided I'd rather take that feature on and add some weight, and choose a lighter weight option for something else. I know a lot of guys use the squid poles that's available at an Australian outdoor store. There's various lengths available for them as well. Table and chair, a bit of a comfort item. If you are operating for a while, it's nice to have a proper station you can do your logging from, sit down. A lot of the time I haven't operated with the table and chair because I'm usually not attached to my vehicle, but it is definitely a nice thing to have available. And some protection from the elements, whether it's finding a tree for some shade, an awning on your vehicle. I usually take a tarp in my backpack, so if I do get any weather, can pitch a tarp and have protection from myself and the elements in my gear. And oki straps, or some shorter tie down straps that you get for carrying your load in vehicles. Particularly if you're using a mast, often you'll find those pine posts in national parks around there. They're quite good to attach your mast to securely, or a tree stump. If it came to that, you'll usually find something that you can use. The masts are designed, or some of them anyway, or to be freestanding, but if I have the option to secure it to something more solid, I will with those straps. Mozzie repellent and sunscreen just makes the experience much nicer, particularly mozzies if you're going to an area that may have them. Sunscreen, obviously, just want to protect yourself if you're out there for a good chunk of the day. And I usually try to keep a rubbish bag in my pack or vehicle. If you do come across rubbish, just try to leave the place better than you found it. It's the whole leave no trace principle. I'll show you my backpack if that's in the shot. Just a day pack. It's a 12 litre pack, so it's just for day use. I have added on an external pouch, which I bought separately for the Icon 705. But in the pack, I've got things like the notepad and pen. I discovered I can have allergic reactions to bees, so I got an EpiPen the other day, and keep that in there. Spare pencil, things like that. Your cables and whatnot. First aid kit. This was the Soda Beams linked dipole I bought. I'm not an antenna builder by any means, so I just decided to pay somebody that is really good at and has the right resources to provide my antenna. So that's it. It's quite lightweight. It's like 500, 600 grams, I think, with some lighter weight coax, but that seems to do the job. It's terminated with BNC for the Icon. Get the radio out as well. Don't forget to use to bring your microphone. Don't want to get out there and not be able to use it. And I have the radio just stored in a pouch, weatherproof pouch. That's the 705. So for me, foundation licensees are limited to 10 watts, which this is maximum 10 watts with an external power source. I haven't invested in an external power source yet. It's mostly coming down to finance. So when I am activating, it's at 5 watts and can still get a few contacts in the conditions that it is now. So if I can do it, I'm sure everybody else will be able to with their kit. There are just some pictures from some outings we've had. So on the earlier on in the piece. So the one on the left there was just behind some sand dunes down at Evans Air Force Beach, Evans Head. Table and chair, my old base station radio, which I carried in the backpack with some SLA batteries there. All that kit packed up in the canoe for an island activation down in northern New South Wales. With a fishing rod, I just use what you have. I started out when I first went portable was a base station radio with a old beach fishing rod as a mast and a dodgy homebrew antenna, and it still gets you on the air and does the job. So I strongly encourage anybody, particularly if you're new, just to use what you have and have a crack. You can see there to the right there, just operating on that island. Didn't have a table and chairs, so I just had a mat there just to keep me off the ground. Bottom right is Jamie and I and Jeff, all local operators, went out to the Stinson's wreck not too long ago. We carried some radio equipment there, so it can take you to very cool places and you get to play radio and see the site. So yeah, definitely encourage you to get amongst it. For resources, the main one is for Australia, www.ffaustralia.com. That's Paul's website. It's really good. It has a lot of information for new and experienced operators in the program. The WWFF Australia brackets VKFF is the official Facebook group for the Australian program. You just have to put, if you do use Facebook, put in your call sign and whatnot to request membership to that one, and you'll get approved. Parksandpeaks.org is the main website for all the spotting. Definitely, that's kind of critical, the main core website for this, and www.ff.co/log search for the viewing of your status, how you're going, and requesting awards. There's also the Parks Activation Weekend. It's a yearly event. I believe it's the last weekend of November. Check out closer to the date that the Paul's website with dates. But that's always a good weekend. I did it for the first time last year, sorry. Went down with some friends and fellow operators onto Air Force Beach, set up for the day, played radio, and there's a lot of activity. Everybody else that's participating in the program, it wants to be on the air on that weekend. So there's a lot of opportunities for the park-to-park contacts, and good opportunity for hunters to get quite a few in the log. Just with that, if you do get a bit of a pile up, or if you're listening, activators will often give, if there's a lot of activity and they're getting a lot of call signs, they'll definitely generally take preference of park-to-park contacts. So if you're at home on your base station setup, they might just ask you to hold out and try to make contact with a park contact, or if they're QRP, they might call up saying, yeah, VK4MJC QRP, and they'll try to work those stations first, usually just out of courtesy, because they're out in the elements as well, or have limited battery supply. So just be mindful of that, particularly if there's a lot of there's a big pile up. They'll usually try to select certain ones. They'll go, oh, VK4 station if it's low down. So just be mindful of that. When I first started out, I made a bit of a cheat sheet, new to radio and new to HF in particular, for the Q codes and doing the signal reports. So I have a laminated sheet with me with that information on screen. So it has the signal reports, the 1 to 5, what they mean, and the signal strength, and then a bunch of the more common Q codes that are used in the program that I find people use usually in those comment field for spotting. So often you might see, which one is it? The QRV. If the operator just gets to the site and is setting up, they'll send a spot out. They're not on the air yet, but they might say QRV 15 minutes. So they're saying, yeah, I'm here, I'm getting all set up. And then they'll send out another one when they're calling CQ. So they're the main ones that I find. And when they're finished for the day, they'll often send another spot out saying, yep, now QRT, thanks for the contacts. 7, 3 and 44. So it's bringing me towards the end of the presentation. That's 7, 3 and 44 is something that you'll hear on QSOs. So the 44 is a parks related number. The first 4 stands for the 4 wind directions, north, east, south, and west. And the second 4 stands for the 4 elements, earth, water, air, and fire, all bringing the nature aspect of the awards program. There's my contact details. If you have any questions, you can certainly contact me on that email address. I'll just try to go to some of the websites that I showed you, or I referenced earlier. I'll see. Can I get a thumbs up from the guys on Zoom if you can see the website just that I brought up on the screen? Yep. Thanks, Norm. So this is the log search website. So that's the main one for accessing your logs. I might just log into it and show you the awards program. I'll just get my password here. So if you need to register, it's just on the left here. Just go register, use your call sign to log in, and you'll be good to go. When I registered, I was in New South Wales, so it's my old call sign. Cool. So we're logged in. Once you're logged in, you go up to the log search section, which is where all the logs are kept. So it's got my old call sign and the new one. So if you do have multiple call signs, that can be catered for. So if I go search my logs for as a hunter, I can check how I'm progressing. So you can see here I've worked 43 parks now. If you click on QSOs, you'll see when the activator uploads their logs to the state representative. Once the state representative verifies it and uploads it to this website on their behalf, you'll see them here. So there's some recent ones. That was on the 7th. There was a bit of activity. So usually if I see a spot at home, I'll turn on the radio and see if I can make a contact. Now, as far as doing awards, if I go up to the national awards, so within the global system, there's national awards, which is there's one Australian one, VKFF, that is. So you can scroll down to VKFF. Because I've now gone over 40, I can qualify for the next, the Platinum Award. So previously I only had the gold. So after a few contacts recently, I can apply for Platinum. So I'll do that. So I've clicked on apply, and then basically this will go through to the national, to Paul and all the state and territory representatives. So yep, VK4MJC is applying for this award. They'll approve it, and then sometime later, they're usually pretty quick, you'll get a PDF, I think it's a PDF, in your inbox with the award attached. This is the the WWFF Australia website run by Paul. It's an excellent website, how to get started. It's got all the information there, all the official rules, the team. So if you need to send your logs as an activator, you can go here and find the details here for each representative. I will show you the that's the activation weekend there. Qualifying Australian parks, so you can go into the state here and qualifying VK4 parks. So you can see the list here. So you're planning a weekend away. You're gonna know you're gonna be near this national park. You can come here, see, make sure it's there, get a copy of the unique reference number there. You can see I think there's over 500 in Queensland, and away you go. But definitely worth checking out that website. I think it's mandatory basically to get all the official information. And this is parksandpeaks.org. You can see here, I'm not logged into it at the moment under my account. This is the VK alert. So the alerts, just to remind you, that was the notices of activating by activators. You can see here, even just for today, there's all those people have put up their intentions to activate. Sometimes they don't get out there, life happens, they can't get there, or life happens, but it's their intention. So you can see when they're going to be there, what frequency. So there's CW, the time, this guy, so they've added that using that comments field. Please spot if no coverage, please spot, so they know it could be iffy reception if any. You can see most of them 7144, so 40 meters. 7144 is the kind of a go-to band and frequency, but you're not restricted to that by any means. So that brings my presentation to an end. I'll just, if you're on Zoom and you have any specific questions, just go ahead now. Otherwise, I'll stop the recording shortly. Nothing heard. Anybody here? Any questions, comments? No, no worries.
No questions, but thanks very much.
No worries. Just I've got two voices in my head. Go ahead. Yep. That's right. Yep. Yeah, it's more of an alert is notice of your intention. Like, I'm planning to get out there around this time. So things can change, like you might get delayed on your way there. You might not get out there at all. A spot is more of a live, I'll put this back in, sorry, a live notification that I am here now, I'm set up, I'm on this frequency definitely, because you might put a alert out saying I'm going to be on 7144, but it's in use by another one. So you go, oh, I'm going to send out a spot that I'm on 7150 instead. So alerts is just that I notice you're intending to go out there on this date and this time at this park. Spots is more of an actual notification to other users that I'm here now. Depends. Some are okay. Depends. Some, if you're near the coast or near population centres, it's okay. Others is yeah, there's nothing there. So you go on to 7144, see if anybody's using it, and then just start calling CQ. You try to prevent that from happening, but yeah, it happens. If you're not going to be in any reception areas, you can just try calling CQ just like you would normally. And then people monitor that frequency in that program a lot, and they'll go, oh, can you send us a spot out, please? And then they'll do it for you to notify everybody else through the system. I bought my backpack from a military supply station. It's a 511 backpack. They're just quite durable and has the ability to add attachments through the molly. It's kind of a more military system where you can use this. It's called molly attachments to add bits and pieces on. Cool Velcro call signs. But yeah, I can send you some information on that one if you like. Neil, did you have any other comments? Neil is here. He's at VK4MJC. He's got a lot more experience than me in the program. Did I miss anything?
Yeah, well, like you saying, you started out, I might be the same. My first park activation was back in October 2009 on my foundation call, which was VK4MJC. Yep. On Norfolk Island.
Yep.
I took a telescopic fishing rod, a spinning reel, and a 1 ounce snapper lead. And Norfolk Island is renowned for Norfolk Island pines.
Yep.
And they go very high, and a lot of the branches are up reasonably high, and they just that and some Venetian blind cord, which
Yep.
we use to pull up an inverted V. And it was actually 80 meter inverted V. But,
Yeah.
I was running a Icon 706 much easier that had an auto tuner.
Yep.
And tuned that. But now most of my, well, pretty well all of my park's activity is vehicle based.
Yep.
I've got a 9 meter squid pole.
Yep.
10 meters minus tip. And homemade inverted V link dipole.
Yep.
My link dipole covers 6 meters to 40 meters.
Yep.
I do have extensions to take it to 80 meters, but I don't use that a lot because a lot of parts you go into, you've got 20 meters of wire either side.
It's a long way. Yeah.
It's a lot, takes up a lot of real
Yeah.
estate. But I'm in the process of experimenting with a compact antenna.
Mm-hmm.
It's equivalent to a 40 meter length, but it covers 20, 40, and 80. There's a coil.
Yeah.
Like the 40 and the 20 side works fine, but the 80 meter side I've got to put an analyzer on to check it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can run from my vehicle. The old vehicle I had.
Yeah.
I like to pick this better set up on this one, but I tie the squid pole to the side of the vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
The front of the tray on this side, and I've got a little table I can set up outside, put the table there, the radio on there. I have a 120 amp hour battery in the back of the ute with a 110 amp hour, 110 watt panel.
Yeah.
I'll have a 44 amp hour portable battery.
Mm-hmm.
I also have a lithium portable battery, which is what I took to Norfolk Island in 2018.
Yep.
In March. So yeah, I just various systems. I've played around with squid pole antennas for quite a number of years.
Yeah.
I used to do the John Moyle field day years ago and used inverted V or just vertical antennas. Beginning of last month, I activated 6 parks, 3 in outback Queensland and 3 in outback New South Wales.
Yeah.
And some of those parks I had phone coverage.
Mm-hmm.
And some of it didn't. But usually if you find that you're in a park, you don't have phone coverage, you have contact with another park activator. They will, if they've got coverage, they'll put
Yeah, definitely.
the same for them.
Yeah.
And so, it's what really kept me interested in the hobby,
That's right. Yeah.
And I've visited a lot of parks. I've activated 120 parks so far.
120 parks, yeah.
Of those, 118 are qualified in the Australian system.
Mm-hmm.
There's 2 that I've got to go back to bring up to the Australian system.
Yep.
I've qualified 45 of those for the world system, but I tend to more
For Australia.
Australian
Yeah, I'll just mention that for anybody still listening on Zoom, this presentation and what I've been speaking of is for the Australian portion of WWFF. There is a global system, the global system WWFF, which requires 44 contacts per park. So a lot of the guys that have been in it a long time or have good amount of time to get out there and get those type of contacts, they can also qualify for awards in the global system. I haven't done that, haven't had any experience in it, but it is available for operators that are keen to operate on the global system. So check out www.ff.co for that. Just while I'm here, any other questions on Zoom before I shut this one down? No.
Thank you.
No worries. Thanks, Norm. Thanks, Doug. Thanks, Steve. Thanks for joining us. I'll close off the session now.
Great Saturday morning.
Excellent. Enjoy the rest of your weekends.
Thanks now.